What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Sports Now YouTube channel and podcast network. He is Andrew Destin. I am Noah Hiles. As always, the show is brought to you by the North Shore Tavern. If you love baseball, you'll love the North Shore Tavern. The interior is wall-to-wall Pirates. There are appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. Open every day. The North Shore Tavern is across from PNC Park and is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. Andrew, pretty obvious conversation topic for today, and it's the guy behind you, I think. First off, for those watching on YouTube, they'll see it, but let me describe it to our podcast listeners. Andrew is currently in some sort of closet. I see magnet schedules, wires, and a cardboard cutout of, I believe, Paul Skenes. And is that a removable mustache? What in the world's going on?
Yeah, I'm currently in a storage closet at the Altoona Curve Stadium. All three observations, Noah, are correct. That mustache goes up.
Are you okay? Like, are you in there on your own will? Or
Yeah,
like,
no,
are you okay?
this is voluntary. No, we're
Okay.
good. I'm escaping the elements. Let's put it that way. The kind people of the Curve, they put this together knowing I was going to podcast and threw a bunch of magnets everywhere. But it's yeah, I mean, this is as timely as it could be, right? We're going to talk about Paul Skenes.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you take the reins on this one, man. You were there in person to watch it, to cover it, to write about it. That was impressive, man, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. What's funny is before the game, I remember I came across a tweet, and I think it was the podcast Baseball is Dead with Jared Carabas and Dallas Braden. And their lead topic of their podcast was Paul Skenes has one final opportunity to show why he deserves to be the NL starter for the All-Star game. And I think he did that today, Andrew. Just a phenomenal display of pitching. 10 of his first 13 outs recorded were strikeouts. He had 11 strikeouts on the day, tying his career high, 7 no-hit innings. He needed 73 pitches to get through the first 4 innings. He threw 26 pitches in innings 5, 6, 7 combined. A 6-pitch 7th inning to wrap it all up. I mean, just it's not hard to believe because we've seen him kind of do this pretty much every time he pitches. But this is where really he put it all together. I mean, I guess you could point out the efficiency wasn't there in the early going, but the efficiency was there at the end, and he always does this, and that's what's the most impressive for me. The strikeouts, 4 from the slider, 4 from the fastball, 3 from the splinker. He mixed the curveball in a little bit as well. Didn't throw the changeup a ton, but overall, I mean, this guy, you're watching every time, and you're waiting for him to look even remotely close to a rookie, and he hasn't. He is not. He, for my money, is the best pitcher in the world right now. I don't know what else to say there is. It was just another dominant display. Andrew, I know you weren't here to cover this, but I mean, let me ask you. I mean, what is the most impressive thing about him through 11 starts? Just as we've both covered him, I mean, what has stood out to you about all of this success?
I'll first collect my thoughts in a phrase. When the incredible becomes mundane, that's when you know you're in the presence of excellence. And I think that's the best way we can describe it. Nothing is surprising at this point, but it should be. I mean, whether it's racking up strikeouts the way he did in this start, or the way he did in the second career start against the Cubs at Wrigley, when he goes deep in these games, no hit, when he doesn't have one of his pitches seemingly, but has the other two, when he doesn't have fastball command. I mean, that's a jumping off point in and of itself, is that you talk to any pitcher, if they tell you they don't have their fastball command that day, that's usually the explanation for why they gave up 5 runs and 2 home runs that day. For Paul Skenes, it's the rationale for why he gave up 1 run in 7 innings.
On a first pitch.
Yeah, it's, I didn't have my fastball. Well, that's kind of important to pitching, but he doesn't need it. So I don't know if there's any one thing. To me, I think it's just the reality that nothing is surprising anymore, and it should be. And I think that's the best way, at least in my words, to describe Paul Skenes, is just this is unprecedented, and we probably need to appreciate it more than we already are.
Yeah. So let's get into the decision today. Like you said, you're in Altoona, but you know baseball. This is a decision every manager faces at one point in their career. And it was a tough one for Derek Shelton. 7 no-hit innings from Skenes. He was at 99 pitches. You're going in to face the bottom of third of the order, and he looked incredibly efficient in innings 5 through 7, but they go with Holderman instead. Shelton's explanation was that he felt Skenes was fatigued. He thought he looked a little tired in the 6th. They brought him back out there for the 7th, and he got through it. I don't know. It's interesting. And I pushed back on that, and I said, well, what made him look fatigued? And his answer was, it's not pitch count. It's just conversations, observations. And to be fair, and because I know that'll piss off some people just hearing those words saying, oh, I felt that way. But these guys, to their credit, they've been right every step of the way with Skenes. They were right to pick him over Dylan Cruz or Wyatt Langford. Something that, looks like a no-brainer now, but at the time, there were a lot of people who were saying go with the everyday guy rather than the pitcher. And boy, could you imagine if he was doing this for another team right now and the Pirates had a guy in AAA playing outfield. That would be killer, but they got it right. They picked him. And the plan that they had to get him just a little bit of a taste of the minors last year, to gradually work him up, to be ready to do what he's doing right now at the major league level. They know this guy well. They know how he works. They know how he operates. But no hitter. Come on, man. Andrew, what says you? What have you done? Just what are your thoughts? What have you done, first off? And second, what is your overall analysis on just how this whole thing was handled and played out?
I'm always in favor of letting the pitcher go for it.
Yep.
Go get the no-hitter. The one caveat I will give, and this is the only argument I'm going to give in support of manager Derek Shelton's decision and the Pirates, you look back at the last start that Paul Skenes made. It was a career high for pitches. He did go deep in a ball game. It would be a very different conversation if he was coming off one of those 82-pitch starts, or if he had skipped a start, or if he was going off 7 days of rest. I don't have the metrics in front of me. I know the velocity was still up because it's Paul Skenes, but I understand the notion of, hey, this guy's coming off of a start where he really did go deep in a game. And who was here yesterday for the Altoona Curve game watching Thomas Harrington pitch? It was Jared Jones.
Yep.
He's hurt. The last thing you want to do and be responsible for is Paul Skenes gets hurt because you left him in too long in a game. And finally, I guess the last point would be, it's different if it's not a 1-0 game. If it's 5-0, send him out there, let him go as long as you can. To some point, you need to win the series. And if you're Shelton and you genuinely thought that Colin Holderman and then Aroldis Chapman gave you the best chance, because those are the two guys that are your back end guys right now and you trust them, let them go win it for you. So I understand it. I am always in favor of let the player go out and get it, but it's really difficult for me to truly, truly chastise for them for this one.
Yeah, I can't begrudge them because, they won the game.
Yes.
That's all that matters. They didn't go out there today saying, our goal today is to get Paul Skenes to throw a no-hitter. That's what we're aiming to do. They came out there today thinking we need to win this series in Milwaukee because you now go to Chicago against a terrible White Sox team and you have an opportunity to get a sweep and get to 500 at the break. And people would be very happy if that was the case, if that does unfold. Would it have been cool? Hell yeah. But it's okay. I think it's going to be okay. Paul Skenes seemed okay with it. And even if he wasn't, you're a 22-year-old in his 11th start. Justin Verlander got a longer leash for a reason. He'd done it for a little bit. And that's not to say that Paul Skenes has not impressed me. He certainly has. But when we're further along in this whole process, if the score was different, there are so many other factors in play that would have maybe allowed a longer leash. This was Shelton's call. These are the decisions that he's paid a lot of money to make. He made it, and his team won the game. So I don't think we could hold it over him too much. Andrew, just overall, as we conclude, big series to conclude this first half of the season against the White Sox. Pirates get 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee. Just your overall thoughts on both of those things to wrap this up.
Yeah, the Milwaukee series first. Obviously not great on the Wednesday night game with getting shut out there, but Martin Perez looking a little shaky. But I think the thing that's most important on my mind is this White Sox series, just from a standpoint of, hey, this is your chance to watch some guys that maybe you'd be really curious in getting, whether that's making a true splash move like a Garrett Crochet, maybe that's a guy that they consider. Maybe it's Tommy Pham. Maybe it's you go a little bit further down with the depth guys like a Paul DeYoung, whoever it may be. This is an opportunity to see, or Luis Robert. I know he's a name that has been thrown out there. I'm not implying that any of these people are guys that the Pirates are imminently about to obtain, but it's a cool opportunity to say, hey, this is one of the few true sellers in baseball. See what you think of their talent. Have conversations in person. That's what's most interesting to me is this is how you're going in the All-Star break, is to see one of the few actual sellers in baseball.
Yeah, going on a little shopping trip in Chicago. Nothing wrong with that. Although I'd probably be shopping, at one of their malls rather than on the south side at Guaranteed Rate Field. Nonetheless, big series. Got to get wins. He's Andrew Destin. I'm Noah Hiles. You can check out our work at post-gazette.com. You can also tune in to the Post-Gazette Sports Now YouTube channel and podcast network for all of our Post-Gazette sports coverage here in the Steel City. Pirates take 2-3 in Milwaukee. We will have more coverage as they head to Chicago before the All-Star break. Take care.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.